The needs of a plant.
For a plant to stay alive, it needs 5 things I would not lie. It needs water so it can grow. And it needs soil just like so. Plants need space, they can't be tight. The sun helps plants by giving light. Don't forget to give plants air. Repeat the needs if you dare. Need 1, water. Need 2, soil. Need 3, space. Need 4, light. Need 5, air.
A plant.
All right. Good day, everyone. Welcome to our second session on our online biodiversity awareness program in collaboration with Highway 2000 East to West. So before we should get in today's presentation, we are going to enter our fun zone segment, and I'm going to ask you all to participate. Right. In the meantime, I'm going to ask you just to type in the chat where you're from, what school you're joining from, so we can give you guys shout outs and just to be interactive. All right, so we're going to enter our fun zone segment. I'm going to share screen. I'm going to ask my colleague, Shimmerlaws, just to let me know what persons are saying in terms of answers. All right. So we're doing a plant math quiz today. So let's begin. All right, so when you add a car plus a rat, what plant do you get? So you have car and rat. So join the words together for your int and tell me what you get. So the answer is a carrot. Okay. So here we have a pot, a plant pot. You have the @ sign and you have toes. If you should put the word pot and put the @ and the toes, what would you get?
Potato.
Let's see if you're correct. It's the potato. All right, question 3. If you have a bread and you have pineapple, grapes, banana, and all these, and you call these fruits. If you should put the bread plus the fruit together, what would you get?
Breadfruit.
Let's see if you're correct. Right, it is a breadfruit. Right. Now, so you have picture of a man and you have a stoplight, and we're seeing the green from stoplight, which means go. So if you put man plus go, what would you get?
Mango.
All
Mango.
right. So we have mango. Is it? All right. We're about to find out. And you're right, it's a mango. And what is your score? So 100. You guys are super smart. Congratulations. All right. That's the end of our fun zone segment. All right, so today's topic is about growth and care, and we have some very special person in our midst today. We'll be doing our presentation for today's second session. All right, so we have Daniel Dunkley, who is the education officer, and we have Daniel Hay, who's a biologist. And our presenters are both from the Forestry Department. So Daniel, I hand over to you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. So, as indicated, I'm here today with my colleague from the Forestry Department, Daniel Hay. And we're just here to talk to you about and to let you know more about who we are and what we do here at the Forestry Department. I'm just going to share my screen with you. So, I'm not sure how many of you know about the Forestry Department, but we are a government agency. And we're charged with managing and protecting the island's forest resources, primarily those located on government-owned lands, which we should know to be as crown lands, lands owned by the government. Question, and you can put it in the room if you know. We have 2 prizes given away for this. 2 water bottles, one for a male and one for a female. So for the first question, what percentage of Jamaica is classified as forests? Is it A, 30%, B, 60%, or C, 40%? So if you know the answer, you can put it in the chat. What percentage of Jamaica is classified as forests? And the second question being, how many types of forests are in Jamaica? Is it A, 1 type, B, 5 types, or C, 15 types? So you can put that in the chat also if you know the answer. Taking 2 winners, one for a male and one for a female. All right. So we're just going to move along. As was stated by our host, that the topic is really about gardening, but we are from the Forestry Department, so we're just using this opportunity to show the highlight importance of forests for you today. We're going to run through the types of forests, and then we're going to show a video on how to plant a tree, and Daniel will come in and share some light on being a biologist and what's it like for her. So forest cover in Jamaica is about 40%, which is 439,938 hectares of Jamaica is forested. And that amount, the agency manages 117,000 hectares. So of the total amount of forests in Jamaica, we here at the Forestry Department manage about 117,000 hectares. The remainder is mostly owned by private individuals. So mommy and daddy, aunties and uncles around the island, they are the owners of other forest areas across our island. Our forest classifications falls under the categories of closed broadleaf, disturbed broadleaf, secondary forests, natural open forest, and wetland forests. All right. So pay keen attention, guys, as the answers are right before your eyes. All right, so the closed broadleaf is also referred to as a primary forest, and it shows minimal human disturbance and is rich in floral diversity. You know, it can, for reference, you can think of the Blue and Junker Mountain Forest Reserve, which is seen on the right. And you can also think of the Cockpit Country Forest Reserve, which is seen on the left. To get a good idea of when you say closed broadleaf, you can always think about those two types of forests in our island. So moving from the closed broadleaf, the other classification of forest that we have is the disturbed broadleaf forest. And this is the type of forest that shows varying degrees of disturbance. So when persons start to enter this area, start to cut down trees, start to make pathways, you know, some trees that indicates that persons have been in there are like the trumpet tree. These are indications that the forest has been disturbed, so it's no longer closed, but it then becomes disturbed broadleaf forest. In a section of Hanover, which you may not know, is the Dolphin Head Forest Reserve, and this is an example of a disturbed broadleaf forest. Secondary forests are dominated by primary pioneer species. This type of forest is often disturbed broadleaf forest with a high level of human disturbance. So when you find a lot of activity taking place, such as Flamstead in St. Andrew, we classify this as a secondary type forest. Here you see examples of a secondary type forest that has been damaged by fire. All right, so where the classification for natural dry open forest is concerned, there are two types. You have the tall open dry and the short open dry. So in this classification where you have the natural open forest, there are two subtypes, tall open dry and short open dry. For the tall open dry forest, as the name suggests, you have trees that are between 5 and 15 meters tall, and the crown is generally not connected. When you say the crown, you're talking about, you know, the top of the trees where they usually interlock or where you have the leaves. So you have the examples of a tall open dry forest here. Moving along, you have the short open dry forest, and this consists primarily of shrubs, bushland, and bush. Trees are between 1 and 5 meters tall with no crown in contact. That means the top of the trees aren't interlocking as you will find in a closed broadleaf or some of the disturbed broadleaf forests. So here's an example of the short open dry forests. Within another classification of forests, you have wetlands, and also for this type, there are two classifications. You have swamp forest and mangrove forest. So the swamp forest is an edaphic, meaning it is characterized by soil waterlogged condition, waterlogging conditions where for most of the period, you find that the trees there grow within water. Here you have examples of a swamp forest. Another type is the mangrove forest. The mangrove forest is also edaphic, meaning it is characterized by soil waterlogging conditions. This is as a result of brackish water in which it grows. The trees have stilt roots or pneumatophores, that is specialized aerial outgrowths from the roots which have submerged in water. So for the most part, these trees are, have adapted to the environment, and as such, their roots allow for them to breathe while they are submerged in water by growing out of, going beyond the top of the water. So here you have examples of silt roots in a mangrove forest. So what percentage of Jamaica is classified as forests? Name 7 types of forests found in Jamaica. What type of forest is found along the coastline? So generally you find the mangrove forests along the coastline. So, for that one, I'm going to give you the answer. I didn't indicate it before, but yeah, so I'm trying to get this back up, guys. Just give me a second. All right, so before I go any further, we're just going to play a quick video in relation to planting trees. And we all know that forests are important as they're the habitat for both trees and animals. So watch keenly and listen to this video.
And that's our favorite fruit. And we got this tree from the Forestry Department. So let's get it done. Some of the tools you need when planting.
To share the screen. Sorry, Daniel, but we're not seeing the video.
A walking cat.
The first thing we're gonna do is we dig a hole and make sure that it is deep enough, wide enough to fit the tree.
Hi, I'm Eliana Charles, and I'm here with my father, Colonel Charles, and today we will be planting a guava tree.
And that's our favorite fruit. And we got this tree from the Forestry Department. So let's get it done. Some of the tools you need when planting a tree: fork, you need a shovel, good old machete.
And a walking cat.
The first thing we're going to do is we dig a hole and make sure that it is deep enough, wide enough to fit the tree. And we're going to keep, of course, our soil so we can backfill the hole. We have planted our guava tree, and we invite the entire Jamaica to plant a tree. Plant a tree.
Protect Jamaica.
And preserve the planet.
All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed that video and learned something. So at this time, I'm just going to invite Daniel here to just share with you her experience as a biologist here at the Forestry Department. Daniel, over to you.
Hey, Daniel, thanks again. Hi, everyone. Session. So my name is Daniel. I'm a and I know it sounds like a big term, but biodiversity is really just the variety of plants and animals living together in a habitat. And today's topic is really talking about gardening. So your backyard gardens, can somebody show me their hands of those who have gardens at home? You can just put it in the chat or raise your hand. So your garden at home, okay, hi Karine, thank you for that. So your garden at home in itself is a habitat. So you have different plants. People plant tomatoes, some people plant peas, corn, you name it. So different plants work together. So if you plant some peas next to your tomatoes and next to your corn and your carrots, they'll do something called nitrogen fixation. So plants need a variety of nutrients, just like you need it to grow big and strong. So these legumes or peas that we have, they do a thing called nitrogen fixation from their roots, and this just adds nitrogen to the soil so that the other plants can grow big, strong, and healthy. But biodiversity isn't just about the relationships between plants and plants, they're about with plants and animals. So have you ever gone digging in the soil in the garden and seen earthworms and millipedes running all around? Show of hands for those who've seen it. Well, thank you, Jessica. Well, I'm going to show you some snails that you may not necessarily typically see in your garden, but they're very, very important to the biodiversity of Jamaica. So the first one that we're going to see is a pleurodont. So it's a baby. So the species is Pleurodonta lucerna, and it's a land snail. So do you guys know SpongeBob and Gary? Yes, no, maybe so. Show of hands who've ever watched SpongeBob and knows his snail game. Thank you again, Jessica. All right, so Gary is a marine snail and he can breathe underwater. The snail that you're looking at can't breathe underwater. If you put him in water, he's probably going to die. But he does his part by going through, he eats some of the other plants, and you may not necessarily want him in your garden because he'll probably eat all your plants, but he's still important for the biodiversity in our forests. So they let us know that the forest is healthy, that all the other aspects and every single animal and plant is there happy, healthy, and doing their jobs in peace. They're like a system, and for a system to work, every single piece has to do its job. I'm going to show you a few more photos of different snails. I'm going to show you what this guy looks like when he's dead. So if you see him and you put him in water or you leave him out in the sun, this is what he's going to look like afterwards. He doesn't look too happy here, does he? Other few are some other snails that you can probably find. So from top to top left, going clockwise, we have Eurocopter brevis, another pleurodont, and various types of sagdates. So all of these are land snails and different shells that you can find if you go digging around, probably in your backyard, in grandma's backyard. And you can start taking looks at them and taking pictures and noting just how important they actually are. They're not just pests. And as you can see, some of the shells are actually quite pretty. They're spiraled. They look like something you can probably make into a necklace. But please don't go killing any of them. We do need them. So are there any of you that are interested in doing science, probably? Show of hands. No, nobody wants to be a scientist? Well, I'll give you a little bit about my job. So if there are different days I get to be in office, and then there's days that I get to go out and enjoy nature. I get to walk through the forest, enjoy the fauna, hear the birds chirping, see the lizards crawling all over the place, and just get to really be a part of Jamaica and get to be a part of the environment. You get to carry home all these pretty plants, you get to see all these animals, and it's quite fun. There's a heavy part of it that, you have to do a lot of work, so you have to study, and you have to make sure you read a lot and keep up with all of your homework, especially if you want to, go into the science. A few of the subjects that I used to do are biology, chemistry, physics. I'm sure most of you aren't at that stage yet, and you're probably doing integrated science, right? Yes, no? But if you keep working hard, it's a very hard field to, start and go into, and it may seem a little bit frustrating sometimes, but honestly, it's worth it, especially when there are days that your office gets to be outside and you get to play. So I hope that in the future, I'll get to see some of you guys grow up to be scientists and work with you. So thank you for having me, and I hope to actually meet some of you someday. Thank you. Back to you, Daniel.
Thanks, Daniel. So with that, we're at the end of our presentation from us here at the Forestry Department. Are there any questions? Can show by raise of hands or put it in the chat. Fiona?
Thank you, Daniel. So guys, as Daniel says, you can put your questions, in the chat. So I have a question, Daniel. So regarding our forest, right? When you guys go out to do site visits and to check on different forest areas, how do you guys assess the forest to see if there's any like new growth and stuff like that, or if there's if the forest is being damaged or
All right, great question. So normally what we do is at first we have a team called our biophysical inventory that will do the initial assessment of the area so that we have a baseline on what used to be there. And then we do routine checks every now and then. For new growth, we'd see, okay, are there still the same amount of plants in the same size? Are they all the same height? Are they all the same width? Are the DBHs, which is what the width that we use? For health and to realistically, it's about species assemblage. So that's just the different types of plants that are there. So you have plants that are native. So those are the ones that are born here. They're Jamaican, just like you and me. And then you have some that are not native. They're from foreign. So like if you have cousins that come down from foreign, there's some plants like that in the forest. And then you have ones that we consider invasive. So those are the ones that sneak in, just like a rat might sneak into the house or a cockroach sneak in the kitchen, and you don't really want them to be there. For those, we have to take an inventory to know that they're there, and then we take to keeping the forest healthy as well as damaging it. So when people go in and they cut down the trees and they cut down too much or they cut down it illegally, so they didn't get any permission to do it. Or worse, when they go in and they go throw away the garbage or they burn their garbage in there and burn out a whole patch. When they do that, it hurts our forests and it leaves them with scars. So just like when you fall and you get a cut and that area is no longer looking like the rest of your life, that's exactly what happens to the forest when you're not careful. So I hope that answers the question. Thank you.
All right, so we have here in the chat, Shimmer Law, she's asking what is the best soil for plant growth?
Well, that depends on the type of plant you want to grow. So different plants need different types of nutrients. So there are some plants that may do well in sandy or clay soil, and then there are other plants that don't do as well. But if you're looking for something that may help all plants as a baseline, I would suggest that you can go to your nearest agricultural store, or you can, if you have a backyard that has like dirt that looks brownish black, you can start with that, and you can add, you can do something called composting. So you can take food and specifically vegetable and fruit matter from your garden or from the table after you finish eating, and you put it in a box, you put it with your soil, and you put all the cuttings from when you help mommy and daddy clear up the yard, you put those leaves and you mix it and wet it up. And then after a while, you'll have what is called compost, and that will help your plants to grow really big and strong and super fast.
Hey, thank you very much. Another question is, what are some things that will stunt the growth of a plant?
Oh, that's quite a few things. So if you overwater your plants, they can get what we call this waterlogged, and they'll start turning yellow, and you don't want your plants to turn yellow. Yeah, another thing is if you're not giving them enough nutrients. So maybe you didn't do the composting and you just put them directly in the ground, and you're not checking to make sure, you know, they're around the roots have enough air, they have enough water, sunlight, but there's some plants that don't want too much sunlight. So, or if you have pests, so you may be seeing some snails and slugs on them, just remove them and put a little salt around the roots. That will keep these pests away.
Thanks. Any more questions? Okay, so that's any more questions coming in, but I have a final question. So what is one of the main thing that you can use to identify if your plant is having issues growing?
Well, you can use the color of their leaves. So if the leaves look yellow, that's always a bad sign. If the plant looks a bit droopy, so it looks sad, then that's another sign. It probably just needs a little bit more water. But usually a plant will talk to you if you listen. So if it looks droopy, if it looks yellow, if there's spots on it, or if you pass it one day and it doesn't look like it's smiling at you, maybe it needs something. And if you need help specifically with your plants, you can always contact the Forestry Department, or you can also contact your nearest agricultural store.
Thank you very much, Daniel.
Thank you. You're welcome.
And so I'm not seeing any more questions. So I guess we've come to that segment. So at this moment, I'm going to play a video just showing a plant growing before we should close off today's session. All right, so I almost forgot. So we had some winners for the question that Daniel Duncan asked. So from the chat, it shows that Karine Parks was the first to answer about forest cover. And she had said 40%. Is that right, Daniel?
Yes, that is correct. However, it's really for the students though.
Oh,
So
all right.
yes. Yeah.
So, okay, let me continue going through. Okay, so we have Camilla Johnson. She has said 40%.
Yes. So if we can confirm Camilla Johnson is a student, she's a winner of this water bottle here.
And she is. And for the types of forests, oh, that was a colleague of mine. So no one answered that question. Anyone want to try now that we have seen a presentation so we can have another winner? The question was the number of forest types that we have in Jamaica. No, nobody wants to try. Okay. And so, all right. So the answer is 5. And so we have one winner for today, and that's Camilla Johnson. Congratulations. All right. So I just want to say thank you all for participating in our program today. Right. So join us again in March for the 3rd session of our biodiversity awareness program. And do enjoy the rest of your weekend. I just want to say thank you once more to the Forestry Department for being our presenters today.